I mean, I think we've all heard the saying, health is wealth, right? And people say it because it ain't no joke. Money can buy you a lot of things, but once you get old and once you get weary, money's not going to reverse any of that. Doesn't matter how good your doctors are, doesn't matter who you go to as your Medicare provider, does not matter. Health is wealth. In today's episode, I brought on Rob Trax. He's someone I know personally. He is the founder of TAPS Training here locally. It's so inspiring to hear people that are kind of from my hometown or from the local area getting it popping, getting it going because it's just like they're right here with you still kind of. They're still like an arm's reach away. So it just makes it so much more inspiring to hear these stories. And so Rob, he's pretty much going to share with you today some super amazing health hacks that help you not forget. Because a lot of times that when we get into entrepreneurship, it's like we get busy, we start this business, and then we just let our health go. We stop going to the gym. And Rob's going to help us out today. And we're also going to have the privilege to hear how he used, his tragedy to overcome that and to start a super successful personal training and supplement business. But it wasn't always like that. Where does your journey begin? Where does your walk to wealth begin? How did you get into the personal training space? What made you get into that space, and why that space out of all the other spaces? Because as probably as a personal trainer, right? Especially if they got social media, everyone wants to be a personal trainer. So, how did you start your journey, and what made you get into personal trainer?
Okay, so journey started many years ago, back when I was like a little tiny kid. My parents got divorced. I was moving to New York with my mom. Didn't really understand why I wasn't seeing both my parents all the time. So when you get these kind of like questions on like, oh, is it me? Was it something I did? What's going on? You start to develop some insecurities, right?
Yeah,
Then moving different school districts every year or so, it's pretty tough to make friends.
yeah,
So back then I was a short little dweeby kid who was like obsessed with like peanut butter and like cartoons. So I didn't like anything related to sports or athletics until finally established a spot in Highland, New York, which is upstate.
okay,
There's like nothing going on up there except for like apple farms and cows. So there's like literally nothing. I was like, great, cool. I can stay inside, play video games, and watch TV all day. Going into first day of class, fourth grade, there's like assigned seats. So I'm sitting next to this little dude named Sean Caswell. Little did I know that this little redheaded dude with spiky hair was going to change my life. I became friends with him, hanging out with him and such, and then got introduced to his family because it became such like developed
okay,
such a great relationship. And his dad was actually the football coach. So he got me to come out and start playing, and I was terrible. But the only thing I could do was I remember the warm up that we would do in the beginning. So the jumping jacks, the squats, the push ups,
yeah,
and things like that. And I noticed that these guys, all the good kids, were good at doing these. So I started doing it on my own at home, started getting a little bit better shape. Getting in better shape led to being a little bit more athletic, started playing more, started to develop more friends on the team. More friends on the team brought me to more friends in school. So that was kind of like how I got into the world of athletics. And then going through college and such, playing football my freshman year and shifting over to rugby, graduating, there's no more sports. So I didn't know what to do.
hmm,
Having a background in exercise science, I got into coaching. It was a pretty easy transition.
yeah,
Continuing to work together towards one common goal, working to win championships and such like that. That's where I got into the coaching realm.
yeah.
COVID happened, transitioned out of strength and conditioning more into personal training. Different players, different teams, just different, same game of life. Everyone's a little bit different. So that's kind of how I shifted over into the personal training spec.
Amazing, amazing. And I really want to interview you today too. Most of us here are entrepreneurs or in some form, right? We got something going on our own. And as you probably already know, once life gets hectic, once life gets busy, if life throws a curveball, usually the first thing that goes right out the window is our health. Right? We stop going to the gym, we stop working out, we stop exercising because it gets too busy and the hassle of getting up there and going there, especially once it gets cold. Once it gets to December, like getting out of bed this morning was hard, right? It's freezing if you especially if you wake up early. And health is usually the first thing we let go once we have these side hustles or these passions that we want to start pursuing. So, what kind of advice would you give to people just about health in general, and how important health is to your overall well being and your wealth?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the cliche saying is
Health is
health is
wealth.
wealth.
Yeah.
So if you can't find time to prioritize, start simple, start small, don't do too much at once,
Yeah.
and start slow. Take little, small, manageable bites, and then work your way up and level up from there.
Yeah.
But just doing something consistently, no matter how small it is, that builds that discipline. Because discipline shows up when motivation's not there. So
Yeah.
once you have those habits, it becomes part of your identity.
And talk to us a little bit about nutrition too, right? Because a lot of times we work out, we might be able to get to the gym, but if our eating habits don't change, especially once our metabolism starts to slow down, it catches up to you really quickly, right? So
Yeah.
what in the nutrition realm, what could we do differently, right? So that's a little unconventional, that's uncommon, so that we can stay in shape and still feel great and have the energy to accomplish some of these big goals and big tasks that we got going on.
The biggest thing I'm going to tell you, it's might be a cop out answer, but is being aware.
Yeah.
So being conscious of what you're eating, what you're consuming, because whether that's even not even just nutrition, whether that's like media and everything like that, what you consume, you're composed of. So making sure that you know what you're eating, being aware of how much, how fast you're eating. Am I full? Should I go have my fifth slice of pizza, or should I stay at 4 for the night? Type of thing like that. So just being aware of your nutrition.
And I want to ask you too, just because I'm a little familiar with the story, and it was really touching when you said it the first time at speaker school. And you talked about the story of your why, right, with your dad.
Mhm.
If I don't know if you're comfortable. Can you share that story with everyone else? Just because that story was really touching and inspiring to me. I know Brandon knows it, and Guillory, I'm pretty sure, and John as well heard it. But like for everyone else that hasn't heard the story about why you do what you do, what keeps you going? What's that drive in you?
Yeah, so it's kind of like reverse because I was grinding, working 70 hours a week
Yeah.
and trying to continue to make more income. Um, got a phone call, voicemail, early June 2016, I think it was. Hey, Rob, man, something serious I got to talk to you about. Can you give me a call? Called him up. Sure enough, he had stage 4 pancreatic cancer. He tried to get through working at Boeing for 30 plus years, tried to get all the paperwork in and such to get into retirement because all he ever cared about was just kicking back in the sand and chilling out.
Yeah.
And he passed away on July 27th. So it was like just about a month later. And because he didn't live until August 1st, something with his contract, he technically died on the job. So he never got to receive any benefits of retirement, never got to enjoy 1 second of it. So the reason why I do what I do now is to help everybody else kind of bring awareness to what they're doing, why they're doing it, so that they can live a happy and fulfilled life down the road. And it's
Yeah.
not just all about grinding, grinding, grinding.
What would you say is the number one thing in the long term to make sure your health stays optimal? Is it exercise? Is it playing sports? Is it having a hobby on the side that keeps your cortisol level down? Like, what would you say for long term sustainability in the health realm? What advice could you give so we can not just be healthy and good for now, but healthy and good for the long term to minimize the possibility of having things like cancer or diseases? Because I know once we get older, our health tends to deteriorate. But if we live a healthy life, it usually minimizes the chances of a lot of that stuff. So what's your best piece of advice for long-term sustainability?
Finding a way to have fun with whatever you're doing and everything you're doing, whether it's fitness, whether it's a style of training. If you don't like cutting, don't be cutting. If you want to stick with powerlifting, stick with powerlifting. But same thing with nutrition, finding things that you do enjoy eating and finding ways of making it a little bit better of a choice. So like pizza, how can I still enjoy pizza but making better choices? How do I find more people who bring me up and build me up instead of hanging out with people who are always insulting and bringing you down?
Yeah.
Make sure you're having fun with everything and everything you're doing, and you're going to enjoy life.
Yeah, definitely. And I want to finish off right with you just shared us a snippet of your walk to wealth, right? But for anyone looking to get started in the entrepreneurship space or even just in taking better care of their health, what's the first step that they should take to getting on the right path to living a healthy, wealthy life?
First step, I mean, it depends if you want to take your time with it or if you want to start getting into it real quick. Because I would recommend finding someone who's in the position that you want to be and talking to them. Either hire them as a coach or just see if you can kind of pick at their brain a little bit. Because if you model someone who's in the spot that you want to be, you'll start to pick up on the small things that they do on a daily basis, and they'll eventually become part of you and your own identity.
Yeah, amazing. And to finish, follow that, I'd say for anyone that doesn't know what they want to do, I just hire a guy on Fiverr and pay them $20 to create a logo and say you have a podcast, and then reach out to people and say, let me interview you. It works. It works. I'm proven. It's proven, bro. It works every time. It works every time. Well, Rob, it was a pleasure getting to know you and getting to interview you. I look forward to actually interviewing on the show for real and live on the full podcast. But it was a pleasure. Give a round of applause, Rob. Thank you. Now,